Hello everyone. So in this first video of the second module, we'll first talk about the data. How we can break our data so that we'll get maximum out of it, and how we'll wisely choose the part of data so that our training will make more impact on the entire process. And once training is done, we will have more accurate, more optimized model in hand. So let's look into this. So the very first thing that we require the distribution of data. So suppose you have a huge amount of data in hand. Now we want to train our model. So while we train our model, we need to divide our data into three parts. First part is the training the data, or you can say training set. Second part is the development data, and third part is the test data. Many times you'll see this development data as a validation set as well. So it's all about the terminology, how a person can represent. Let us understand what is the role of each individual sets, right? So we already seen the life cycle of this deep learning. So in the life cycle we have seen we have data, then we need to process the data. After processing the data, we need to divide this data into three sets, right? So the role of training set is to train the entire model, right? Now what is the role of development set? So let's think on that. You have trained your model with the training data. Now you want to check whether your model is good model or not, right? You want to check the quality of model. Then you will use the development set, right? Now if you find okay your model is not up to the mark, then what you will do, you will tune some parameters and you will select some features. Maybe that can be alpha value, maybe that can be your beta value, maybe that can be your layers, number of neurons in particular layer. And based on that you modified the architecture, you modified the model, and again you will retrain with the training data. Now once you have done the training with the training set, then again you will check with the development set, right? Is your model is performing good or not in the validation set or development set. Now once you feel with this iteration from here to here, then again back, if you feel once your model is ready or good in the development set, then at the end you will check with the test set. Now what this test set is doing, test set is trying to mimic the process of inference, or you can say deployment. So let's see why we want to make this model. We want to make this deep neural network or deep learning model to perform a particular task on new data. When a new data will arrive, then your model will able to take a particular action, take a specific action, right? So that is the task of doing this entire training. So now if your model is performing good on the test data, it indicates your model will perform good in new data as well. Why it is indicating that? Because this test set your model have not seen in the entire training process. Maybe you can say development set also your model have not gone through in the entire training process, because ultimately your model is training with the training set only. But indirectly, as human involves in between to tune the parameter based on the result on development set, so you can say indirectly your model have seen that development data as well, because based on the result from the development data you are going to modify the parameters of the model. So in that way you can say your model have indirectly gone through your development set as well. So that's why in order to mimic the deployment process, or when you deploy your model for the task to perform a particular task, then how exactly it will behave on new data that is coming from the test set. Now, in case if your model is not performing good on test set, then keep this in mind, don't need to modify it. Just throw it and start from the beginning, because that process you already done with the development set. If you again try to modify your model based on the result from test data, then it will not perform well in the new data. So this is the role of training set, development set and test set. Now you can say what should be the partition. How much we will put into the training data, how much we will put into the test data, how much we will put into the development data. So it depends how much data we have in hand. Suppose we do not have enough data, then maybe your partition will be 60-20-20. So 60% go for training, 20% will go for validation, or you can say development set, and 20% will go for the test set. Right? Now, suppose we have lot of data in hand. In that case, maybe you have 1 lakh images in hand. If you divide even 99.5.5, so this will for the training, this will for the development, this will for the test. In that case, you will have 5000 images for the training and 5000 images for the testing as well. And this 5000 images is good enough to cover most of the variety or most of the distribution of the data. So ultimately, while you divide the data, you have to look into the distribution. Development set and test set also cover each type of data. Ready? So that's the way how you will divide the data. Now, what is the role or why we choose this development set and test set wisely? Right? So the development set, as I told you, if your distribution is not good. So let me take one example. Suppose you want to classify the animals, and if you have arrange your data in alphabetical order. In that case, suppose you are training top 70% for the training, the next 15% for the development, and next 15% for the test. So in that way, your model never seen the zebra into the training set, means your distribution is not good. So in that case, what you will do, you will try to randomize first the entire data. You will randomize the location, and then we will test, or you can say then we will choose the test data and the development data. Right? Now you can say what is the role of development set. So suppose you have 1000 classification problem, right? Or you can say very complex problem. In that case, it will be very difficult to visualize the things manually. Let's say, take one example. Suppose I made an application, and that application I have given to my two friends, right? And tell them just try to find out which of these application is good. Now what he will do, he will try to play it and then he will note it down. In that case, if one person is saying my result is 95% and another is saying 95.1%, it is very difficult to find out which one is better, because this is completely manual task. So this process or this problem resolved by the development set. So I hope you got a good idea what is the role of training set, development set and the test set. So once you will create the model, choose these three data wisely so that your entire process will be much better and more smoother as well. Thank you.